Hi, I'm Vizzy. I like making diagrams, so let's get right into it. This is the skill versus challenge flow model. So what exactly is this thing? Well, in short, it's a model to show us how to achieve a flow state. And what exactly is that? Well, a flow state occurs when you're doing a task that is enjoyable and engaging. So much so that you might start losing your sense of time and get so wrapped up in the task that you could do it forever. So how exactly do we reach that? Well, that's what this model shows us. This categorizes any activity with two different factors: the challenge level of the activity and your own skill level at that activity. So let's go through all 8 sections and explain them briefly. First, apathy. Apathy occurs when the challenge level is low and your skill level is low. These are tasks that effectively you could do without even thinking about it. But because they're so unengaging, this leads to them feeling monotonous. Apathetic tasks could range from everyday activities, such as cleaning your room or taking out the trash, to being unengaged in listening to someone, or while at school. Now, this isn't necessarily me saying that you shouldn't participate in those activities, because you should want to keep your space clean, and you should seek education. But this chart might show you why those activities make you feel the way that you do. Next, we have worry. Worry is where the challenge level increases, but your level of skill does not. So any activity that worries you is pushing you slightly out of your comfort zone. Maybe you're learning a new skill like playing the piano. Maybe you're trying to practice talking to people. This worry occurs from wanting to not mess up, but it's a necessary step to take to improve yourself. However, just like with apathy, all of the activities you do shouldn't worry you. Next, we have boredom. This is where the challenge level is low, but the skill level is getting a little higher, so it requires just a little more from you. Maybe there's a task you have to do around the house in a very specific way or else it won't work. Maybe your phone charger doesn't work unless it's at a specific angle. Or maybe some other slightly skillful task, where you have to get them done, but they don't really excite you. Next, we have anxiety. So when the challenge level is at its highest, but your skill level is still at the lowest, you'll experience anxiety. So this is way beyond being worried about an activity. This is something that scares you. Something that you're convinced will not go well because of your current level of skill. You could compare it to doing any activity with no practice, like running a marathon without training, singing in front of a crowd without knowing the song, or even talking to someone you're attracted to. These can all spur up these feelings of anxiety when you feel your level of skill is not enough to match the challenge. Next, we have relaxation. Relaxing tasks are when the challenge level is low, but your skill level is high. This is doing something you're already passionate about, and you've already invested a lot of time into. Maybe that's drawing, playing music, working on an Excel sheet, anything that you've dedicated enough time to and are good enough at, but isn't a challenge for you. Tasks like these are important as it gets our mind to unwind. It's not a mindless activity, but it is one that brings us joy, and that's important to have. Next is arousal, and no, not that type. Arousing activities spur up a different feeling than those that are just anxious. These can be feelings of frustration or anger, or even general confusion. If boring activities spur up nothing in you, these will constantly get you thinking about something new, whether that's researching a new topic, listening to a podcast, or reading the news. Next is control. Control is when you have a medium level of challenge versus a medium level of your skill. So this is something that is challenging enough. So this is something that you've spent a decent amount of time to get good at, and that is fairly challenging. Enough so that it doesn't feel like you're relaxing when you're doing this activity, but it's something you could break away from if you wanted to. Maybe you've learned all the new tech in a fighting game. Maybe you feel you've plateaued enough with a skill that you don't want to improve it, or don't see the need to currently improve it. And lastly, we have flow. Flow is the balance of high challenge versus high skill. When something is challenging enough to be worth doing, and your level of skill is high enough, you'll achieve a flow state, where you'll be fully engaged in the activity, not worrying about anything else but working on what you're working on. At least according to this chart. But like I stated earlier, I don't think that every activity you do should be a flow activity. Sometimes you need to relax. Sometimes you do need to feel bored, or even have a little bit of worry to push you out of your comfort zone. When it comes down to it, every activity might not fit perfectly in just one category. And that's okay. But if this can help you visualize them a little better, then that's what counts. So what do you think of the skill challenge flow model? Do you think this accurately assesses how to achieve a flow state? Or do you think there's something that better explains it? Do you feel you have any activities that achieve a flow state? Or do you feel like you lean more towards another category? I'm excited to hear what you have to say. And as always, thanks for watching.